Are you an avid backpacker or hiker? Do you think of yourself as an all-round outdoor adventurer? Or would you rather leave the hiking to us? If you like to hike, today's show is for you. We have picked our favorite trails across the Midwest and Bruce County, Ontario, and put them together for your hiking enjoyment. Lace up your boots and come along. We begin the adventure with our friends to the north and meet them on Bruce Trail with its interesting flora, fauna, and geology. Whether you choose to hike the Bruce Trail end to end, which takes about 30 days, or if you just want to complete one of its major sections, we're sure it will become one of your favorite hiking trails too. While portions of the trail are quite flat, short, and easy, the avid hiker will find other parts can be quite challenging and also long between access points.
This is a fence crossing, and they put this in the national park so people know what to do when you see one of these. So why don't you give it a whirl? I'm not even going to tell you what you do.
Oh.
Just try it. Just go for it.
So this is the fence, okay?
This is the fence, and you're climbing over the fence.
All right.
Do you want me to hold your hand?
Help!
There you go.
Now, I assume we get to the top, maybe make a turn. I'm not going to walk down forward, so. Oh, yeah, okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Excellent.
Because the Bruce
good.
Trail crosses a lot of private land. There's a lot of fences in rural areas, and this is just a crossing that they have over them. So
perfect. Great.
Way to go. Your first major Bruce Trail accomplishment.
What do you say we get going?
Let's do it.
Clubs along the Bruce Trail receive much praise because of their efforts to keep the trail well maintained and clearly marked.
It's special when we can walk on private land. That's something to keep in mind. We are very grateful to private landowners who allow us to walk across their property. And keeping that in mind, we need to be very respectful of that property. So general hiking ethics is important today, staying on the trail. Don't take anything with you unless you see some garbage. I always fill my pack with garbage on the way. And don't pick anything, don't pick wildflowers. If you want to take anything, pictures, as they always say, are the best thing to take.
The adventurer will find parts of the trail rocky, with crevices and holes in the surface, and in many spots requires fairly steep climbs.
It's nice to get out to an area like this and not find a fence in front of you. Wow.
Step carefully, as it is not a sidewalk and it can be slippery in sections if wet. When you come to one of the many spectacular lookouts along the top of the escarpment, you will be rewarded for your efforts. As we continue along the trail, we are transported to another world, enjoying the slow pace and taking time to stop and notice nature's small wonders. Hiking the Bruce Trail is like a living classroom for your family, where you can observe the ever-changing activities of the escarpments and experience its varied ecosystems. Entering this segment of the trail into the Laurie Forest, we found ourselves on fairly flat ground as we came upon the Beaver Valley segment of the trail.
It's a great section of trail, both from a perspective of being scenic. It's called the Falling Water Trail because you're never very far from the sound of or sight of falling water. There are any number of waterfalls up and down this section of the trail.
Meandering through the hardwood bush and along its broad coniferous plantation path, the 4.4-mile trail loop is rated as moderate. It's accessible year-round and is enjoyed by hikers or those who enjoy a walk away from the noises of civilization. This trail goes along the waters of the Boyne River that end up creating Hog Falls that plunges over 7 meters of sheer rock. There was a sawmill at these falls in the 1880s run by William Hogg, who referred to them as Little Falls. The Beaver Valley Bruce Trail Club organizes hikes throughout the year, or you can try out the suggested hikes on your own. Hiking the trails gave us the opportunity to enjoy nature, get some good exercise, and we grew in appreciation of the conservancy of the forest, which has some of the characteristics of old-growth trees.
Jack, I want to thank you for bringing us out and explaining this trail to us and showing us around a little bit. It's been a great trip.
It's been my pleasure, and I look forward to seeing all sorts of folks up here enjoying this trail.
Well, I sure hope they do, because they'd sure be missing something if they didn't.
Migrating westward, we leave the Bruce Peninsula of Ontario to hike along the Montreal River of the Keweenaw Peninsula in Michigan. In the rugged wilderness of the northernmost part of Michigan is where you find the peninsula called the Keweenaw. If you spend any amount of time here, learning of its natural history and its relation to Lake Superior, it will become your passion, and you'll see why we have a passion for hiking along its Montreal River. With intoxicating scents and astounding scenery, a hike along the Montreal River is just spectacular. The hills, bluffs, and summits of the Keweenaw Peninsula rise magnificently from the forest to offer sweeping views of the surrounding landscape as well as Lake Superior. You can hike to the precipice of dramatic cliffs or take a gentle walk to breathtaking waterfalls and overlooks, and stop to study the fascinating geological formations that reveal millions of years of natural history. On this hike, we found ourselves traversing around fallen trees through thick pines and wind-twisted cedars. We hiked on some well-used trails that were just plain fun. We were always rewarded with glimpses of the shining big waters of Lake Superior. The Montreal River, as a river, is essentially a primitive stream with very few signs of human contact.
You see the river has calmed down. We're getting into a really wild area through here. You notice the river too is stained kind of a brown colors from the tannic acid that's in the areas. A lot of these cedars give off that kind of stuff and color the water this way.
Trekking through the Keweenaw creates a certain magic. Your smartphone probably won't work, but use it for taking pictures of the towering timber. Each trail you follow will bring you to a new adventure. Conditions are often called rugged and rough because you have to make your own way through the dense woods. But when you come to the tumbling waters of the river, you will be so glad you made the effort. Thomas Mann said, "Thoughts come clearly while one walks." And you'll find this true when hiking around Morrow Lake in Roscommon County.
Well, not only is it nice to go out and find color, but it's also nice when you can go out for a walk in the woods and really get close to it and enjoy it. We're out here today, we're at Morrow Lake.
We found ourselves on a quiet, wooded path that wraps around the shoreline. The shaded, level, well-marked trail makes this a perfect family hike. There are 3 loops that are all interconnected, so at any point you can shorten or lengthen your hike. The Green Loop is only 2 miles long and is a great hike for children. It is extremely level and hugs Morrow Lake so closely for the first half that you can view water from every step. We like this hike in the autumn, as Morrow Lake's upland is forested predominantly with oak, maple, and pine, and with some white birch, ash, and other species mixed in. Wooden bridges and platforms exist over the small wetland areas and are great stops for observing the belted kingfishers and other water birds who make this area their home. This small inland lake is non-motorized. It is often so calm that it perfectly and beautifully reflects the color of the trees that surround it. We're happy to find a bench on the lakeshore to stop and take in the beauty of fall at Morrow Lake. The Blue Trail is the entire loop, a 5.5-mile round trip to the Cut River, which flows from Higgins Lake all the way to Houghton Lake.
Well, as we mentioned, the trail gets a little bit rougher as you come out, and you can kind of see it now. There's a lot of roots in the trail. There's some muddy spots. If you do come out this far, be prepared for it. Wear some boots. You may want to bring some other gear depending on how well prepared you like to be out here, but you can't ever be too prepared.
Occasionally, you may meet a geocacher or two, as there are a number of easily accessible caches just off the trail. Fall is a great time for hiking in the woods of northern Michigan. Weather is still delightful, the bugs are gone, and crisp fall fragrances fill the air, especially on the Ogemaw Hills trails near West Branch. With more than 13 miles of trail, it's the perfect, quiet, peaceful setting for a scenic walk through nature on beautiful wooded pathways. There are plentiful displays of foliage and wildlife, especially in the fall when the small animals are more active, preparing for their winter sleep.
Notice as we've been walking along the trail that every so often we're finding benches. So if you are out here, you want to stop and take a rest, there is a place to sit down, maybe have a bite to eat, just relax and enjoy the solitude that's out here. They look like they're setting awful high though, Jay.
Well, for right now they are. You can jump up there if you're hiking, but when you're skiing in the winter, they'll be at normal level because you'll be on a couple feet of snow here.
Okay.
Snowpack.
That makes sense. When I first looked at that, I thought, this sure is odd, but then that makes sense.
There is no cost to use the pathway. Private donations help fund upkeep and maintenance.
Now, what is it that you do to take care of it?
Well, we supervise the maintenance, which would include plowing the parking lot, grooming the ski trails, clearing the ski trails, that type of thing.
Okay, and as we came down, most of the trail actually was in really good shape today.
It really was.
I think we passed one tree that was across the trail, and somebody will be along actually within the next couple of weeks.
Next couple of weeks, we will have a session where we will be cutting the lumber across the trail.
Okay, so when you're out here, kind of remember that and keep it in mind. You know, footprints only, take pictures only. Don't leave anything out here. Keep it nice.
Visit any time of year. Lace up your boots for a hike. Jump on the seat of your mountain bike, or strap on cross-country skis in the winter. We are sure you will enjoy Ogemaw Hills pathways as much as we do. For a summer hike when all is green and lush, we have chosen High Banks and Eagle Run trails for some of the best hiking. The short 7-mile hike on the High Banks Trail takes you along the high bluffs of the AuSable River, where you'll see some of the best and most dramatic views of the river. The point-to-point trail begins 15 miles outside of Oscoda. You can park and access the trail at Iargo Springs, Lumberman's Monument, and Sidtown along River Road. With its mostly level contour along the tops of the bluffs, this trail makes an excellent outing for children who won't be able to resist going down the sandy trail to cool their feet and take a swim in the AuSable. With outstanding scenery and views, this trek on the High Banks Trail through the Huron National Forest has become one of our top hiking trails. Also in the Huron-Manistee National Forest is the Eagle Run Trail system.
The Eagle Run Trail system is actually 3 different trails. It's a total of 7 miles if you do the whole thing, but there's like a loop that's 2.5, another loop that's 2, and another loop that's 2.5, and some of them go right along the AuSable. So it's however long you want to make it. However much.
Good. So somebody come out here with the whole family then, and you know, you got little kids, you want to keep it short, you can, or if you want to come out here and have a nice hike, you can do that too.
Yes, whatever you want, whatever the day permits. Yep.
Okay.
The hard-packed Eagle Run Trail runs along the south shore of the lower AuSable River. Scenic views of the AuSable River and a quiet, remote setting allow hikers to experience nature firsthand.
Beautiful, beautiful asparagus plant.
Is there a lot of it out here?
I have not seen one in a long time, so no. This could have been something that someone had
This is a nice one here,
yep,
there's no doubt.
Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Just different things you can watch for while you're out here. You never know what you're going to find.
This area is one of the finest spring wildflower walks and a great area for birdwatching enthusiasts.
Come out now, we've got kind of an open meadow type area out in here that looks like it might see some water setting around at times.
Yep, it changes. Every 20 or 30 yards you're going from one thing to another, from the woods to, let's start with the tower line, into the woods, the swampy area, out by the river, and now back by this field. It changes. Yep.
That's one of the things that really makes this trail interesting is because all the changes you do go through.
Yeah.
We certainly enjoyed the warm breeze on the day we hiked the trail, keeping the insects at bay and allowing us to simply enjoy the sights and sounds of hiking the natural area of the National Forest. The Colwell Lake Recreation Area is located at the northern end of Schoolcraft County and about 25 miles northwest of Manistee. Colwell Lake is 145 acres with an excellent swimming beach and boat access. Camping, fishing, picnicking, and hiking are all popular recreation activities at Colwell Lake. Renovated in 1993, the area meets most current Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines. Electricity, water hydrants, a dump station, picnic ground, lakeside path, and skid pier have been added. We will follow the lakeside path all around the lake. The campground consists of 35 individual family sites. 5 have electric RV hookups, fire ring, lantern post, and tent pad. If you like to fish, this is another great fall fishing getaway. The fish found in Colwell Lake are northern pike, largemouth bass, bluegill, pumpkin seed, black crappie, and perch. This natural surface nature trail is 1.6 miles long and crosses through a variety of northern hardwood stands and wetlands. Colwell Lake Campground is a free site. Golden Age and Golden Access passports are honored. Well, the day was coming to an end, but we still had lots to look forward to tomorrow. The Corsair Trail System is located in the Huron-Manistee National Forests, the only national forests in Lower Michigan. The forests comprise almost 1 million acres of public lands, extending across the northern Lower Peninsula of Michigan. Corsair, the Huron-Manistee National Forest, provide recreation opportunities for visitors, habitat for fish and wildlife, and resources for local industry. These forests in northern Michigan are rich in history. In the late 1800s, logging was at its peak, and these forests were quickly cut and cleared. In 1909, the Huron National Forest was established, and the Manistee National Forest was formed in 1938. In 1945, these two national forests were administratively combined. Corsair Trail has 28.3 miles of one-way trail that varies from gently rolling, easy terrain to somewhat hilly, more difficult terrain.
Earlier, when we were out on the hike, we were showing you some pine forest. We assumed it was planted by the CCC maybe 70, 80 years ago. The reason they were in here planting, though, is the lumbermen came through and took all the wood that was here, and so they had to replant. That's why they're so small. But if you get out here in the woods, there are places that there are some of the original virgin pine. This is one I'm standing next to right now. This is a red pine. Not just a pine, but I got next to me over there is a big hemlock too. And if you can find them this big out in the woods, you've got some virgin forest out here that you're looking at. Great place to come out into. It just has a really great feeling to it. And it's always nice to stand next to one of these and get your picture taken too, just to show you how big they are.
The trails may be hiked any time during the snow-free periods. The trails are marked with blue diamond-shaped confidence markers.
Most difficult. You're going to see signage out here like that. This trail that we're going to take back, that's supposed to be the shorter trail, is also one of the rougher ones. So we're going to be seeing what we assume is a lot of ups and downs. If you're on skis, that may include corners, tight corners and things too.
It's a good idea to carry a map and compass or GPS into Corsair because of the size and scope of the trails that meander through the forest. For a beautiful and scenic backcountry camping experience, a visit to the rustic Negwagon State Park should be on your agenda.
Well, we've made it out now to the Negwagon State Park. We're at the trailhead. We're just getting ready to take off onto the trail. We've got about a 3,700 acre park out here. We've got several miles of Lake Huron shoreline. Some of the most beautiful undeveloped shoreline along Lake Huron.
The terrain is a mixture of lowland areas with small ridges to mature pine forest, some hardwoods and aspen forest, and some pockets of open meadows mixed in.
Well, one thing about coming out to this trail, you want to be big and brawny and be able to get out here and haul the weight. Now, isn't that right, ladies?
Yes.
The foot trails are rugged, and visitors may encounter wet areas and streams to cross with or without a bridge, along with obstacles that may block the trail. Trails are marked, but nighttime travel is not recommended.
Great little handmade sign that's out here. It's a trail marker. As you can see, the trail goes around. Gives you an idea where you're at. Ah, yeah, you are here. Guess that's pretty obvious. There are the more modern trail signs that are out here too, but this one is one that's been out here. Nice little spot, and hey, looky here. Somebody left a staff. If you need something, a walking staff when you're out here, you'll find them along the way. A lot of people pick them up for a while, use them, and then put them back down again. Do the same thing. There'll be one there for you.
Some of the Negwagon State Park's most scenic areas are accessible only by hiking, kayaking, or canoeing along the Lake Huron shore.
Coming down here onto the beach, as you can see, is absolutely gorgeous down here. Everywhere along this beach, you're just out here by yourself. What a great place to be.
The remoteness and serenity of backcountry camping draws many people. However, those same reasons necessitate careful planning and preparation in this unspoiled paradise, just a short drive from the hustle and bustle of city life. For our final favorite hike, we went to a national wildlife refuge. The refuge is located just southwest of the city of Saginaw.
We are here today at the Shiawassee National Scenic Wildlife Refuge. We're here in Saginaw County in southern Michigan, and we've got this 9,500 acres of wilderness out here that we're going to go out into today and show you what it's all about.
The Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge is more than 9,000 acres, established in 1953 to provide habitat for migratory waterfowl. The locals call it the Shiawassee Flats because it lies in the Saginaw Bay watershed where four rivers, the Tittabawassee, Flint, Cass, and Shiawassee, converge on the refuge to form the Saginaw River. The Woodland Trail is on the north side of the refuge and offers 4.5 miles of trails that are rather primitive and wind through bottomland hardwood forest, taking you past historic landmarks left from the coal mining industry in the early 1900s. It is popular with mountain bikers, hikers, and cross-country skiers, but use may be limited due to seasonal flooding and wet conditions. The Ferguson Bayou Trail is on the south side of the refuge with another 4.5 miles of trails that follow graveled roads on the tops of dikes and offers view of croplands, sloughs, forests, fields, wetlands, and pools.
I guess one thing, if people are out here during the summer, especially during the summer when they might be wearing shorts, keep in mind there's poison ivy everywhere. All right, and if you can't identify it, just make doggone sure you stay up on the trails and keep your eyes open for it, and just remember that it is out here.
The blind here, they've got cuts in the board so that you can stand in here with a camera, binoculars. You can view the wildlife that's outside, but they can't see you too clearly, so you have a better chance of seeing things. They'll move up the river, get fairly close to us. It's a nice little area to stand during the day.
2 observation towers equipped with spotting scopes are located along this trail, so you can take a closer look at ducks, geese, deer, and other wildlife.
Come on out here, bring the family, come by yourself. It's close by, we're right up here in Saginaw County, so it's close to a lot of people. It's worth coming up and trying out.
You've seen all the ways to explore the rivers and lakes. Which would you choose for your adventure on one of our favorite trails? Would you pick Cowell Lake Trail for its ease and beauty? Or would you prefer a leisurely trip through the Shiawassee Wildlife Refuge? How about an adventure on the Corsair Trails? Or are you the adventurous type and want to hike the backwoods along Lake Huron in the Negwagon State Park? If you love fishing, your choice is going to be the trip along the Au Sable on the Eagle Run Pathway. Maybe your dream is an overnight hike. Well, we want to know what your favorite is, and we've set up an online voting page for your choices. Let us know your favorites, and we'll post your vote and opinion online. We hope today's show has encouraged you to get up out of your chair and experience hiking for yourself. Let us know on our Facebook page where you like to hike. Remember, hiking is a healthy, simple, inexpensive way to have a great getaway. And it is forever, a sport you can enjoy your whole life. Be sure to leave your comments and request more information as directed on the screen. And thanks for letting us lead you down the path of another great getaway.